and gentlemen, to have your microphone to mute. And Mark, over to you, 10 o'clock.
Very good. I think we're good afternoon from us here in Cyprus. Good morning to some of you. Just on the topics that I've been allocated to talk about, diversity and sustainability. We threw that out last meeting as a, if you like, an association focus points or focal groups that we can get involved in. We at Columbia are making a big drive on diversity and sustainability this year. There will be a 6-month drive towards getting really detailed policies and philosophies for our business in place. We are, as with GDPR, we are welcoming any of the members to join us in this and share the information that we're gaining. I think it goes without saying that all of us have sustainability aspects to our business. All of us have diversity aspects to our business, but the market for managers, the market for our associate members too, requires more than that. And certainly in the next 6 months, we want to get there. As with GDPR, we're very happy to share our efforts and start, if you like, informal groupings to as with GDPR. So please come forward. We haven't seen, Dirk reminded me yesterday that we've seen precious little response from InterManager. That's fine too, but we just want to say that if any of you full members or associate members want to join us in our efforts, then you'd be very, very welcome. I think a problem shared is a problem halved, and I don't know why I'm calling it a problem. These are two issues that should be celebrated and fun, and we're certainly approaching it in that way, and the more the merrier. So please contact Dirk if you're interested in joining our own particular initiatives, and we can make it an InterManager initiative. On GDPR, there has been a good uptake, I hasten to say, and that the sort of informal committee is working well. So that's good news. We're also working on decarbonisation and alternative fuels. So again, if any of the members want to join us in that drive, then please do. Unfortunately, InterManager doesn't have the resources that some of the other associations have, so we can't, perhaps nor should we, set up subcommittees and committees for this and committees of that. We like the informality, we like the flexibility, but it's really up to the committee members to manage this themselves. So all we can do is volunteer focal points, and that's what we're doing as Columbia. I would call on other members to offer themselves up as focal points on some of these other core issues that we experience in our particular sector. And that's not to say you're not, but please do, particularly the big ones that have the resources, please do offer yourself up. If you have a particular policy or strategy that's of interest, of wider interest to the membership, then please offer that up. New members, I think Kuba is the record keeper, but new members, we have had success. Tome have confirmed that they will be joining as full members, so that's fantastic news. I don't know whether they're on the call now, but they certainly will be on in future. Particularly interested, as others, in this industry standard, and I think that's the challenge for all of us, and the opportunity. A bit more of that in a minute. On vaccinations, Kuba and I have been active. You've seen a lot in the press. We don't really make any excuses for that. I think it's right that we're taking the position we're taking in the press and trying to shake as many trees on this important vaccination issue as possible. It's not a clear issue by any means. What one is entitled or allowed or permitted to do seems to vary from day to day, but I think it's absolutely right that InterManager is shaking the trees, the political trees and the commercial trees, to try to get movement. And Kuba and I attended an industry meeting last week, where I made InterManager's position very clear that we're working with the other industry associations, but we're also, if you like, perhaps acting a little bit as the maverick, where those other industry associations are more confined in the channels that they have to go through. And it's sometimes good to have a maverick playing off field to shake some of the trees which they're not able to shake themselves. And that was appreciated by all of the other industry associations. So we're very much on side with all of the other associations, but we're also using our perhaps more flexibility to go it alone down some avenues which aren't open to others. So vaccination.
Mark, I lost you. Is anybody else? Mark, we don't hear you.
Yep, I can't hear you. Yeah, he went quiet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Sorry, I'll bin these. I'm just saying we did manage to negotiate with Johnson & Johnson for 1 million vaccines to be supplied to InterManager for those that want it. But we have to find a government agency, an official government agency through which to place the order and to receive the order. So that's the challenge. And all we require is an official governmental body to act as a conduit for our order. The order would be $22 million for 1 million vaccines. We could then set the hubs up through the existing arrangements that have been placed around the world, and we would have 1 million vaccines. It seems to me, I mean, I tear my hair out as to why we can't get a single government body to actually authorize this, where Johnson & Johnson in the US would be very happy to supply, and we would have those vaccines in a pretty short time frame. So there's the challenge for all of us. If any of us have better contacts than Kuba and myself, and I'm sure there are those of you who do, then we have to try. It doesn't have to be the UK government. It can be the Cypriot government, and Kuba and I are looking at that at the moment. It can be other governments, but we need an authorized conduit to place this order. Once we have that, we're up and running. So a lot of work is taking place on that. If any of you feel that any of the press coverage is inappropriate or that we shouldn't, then please feed back. You know, this is not this is about us, and most importantly, it's about the seafarers. And I think if we miss this opportunity, we'll be kicking ourselves in a few months' time when some vessels come to a grinding halt because we don't have vaccinated seafarers. So much for the vaccination. As far as the standard is concerned, again, we have a meeting at the end of this week with Alpha Marine, who want to share with us their first efforts. But Kuba and I have been meeting with Alpha Marine to get the start point of this standard or general principles, whatever we want to call it, code of practice, which we can then discuss in committee or however we decide. But it's always important, I think, to have a start point which we can then play around with. Otherwise, there'll simply be too many cooks, and we'll never get anywhere. But there is considerable work on that, rest assured, and Alpha Marine will share with us their findings, and we'll share those with you when they're in a form presentable to do so. That's all from me. Thanks, Kuba.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much for that. Okay, and my slot. Situation in India. I have to admit that mixed information at the moment. No doubt members are receiving information from ourselves and other associations, plus press, obviously. We are seeing reactions from countries such as European countries and Singapore banning any flights from India, but more importantly nowadays, even ships arriving from India. And that is a worrying trend. I have a meeting tomorrow with our industry vaccination group, and we will be discussing that and seeing how we can find the solutions for that and what solutions are available. There is a lot of panic among the governments, and we do need to appreciate it. We were working some statistics, and it looks like 8% of seafarers might be affected by that. That is the number of Indian seafarers due for relief out of nearly 200,000 seafarers from India, but actually engaged at the moment at sea is 150, 160, half of them being ratings, half of them being officers, but not all of them are due for relief. Therefore, that's why the number is smaller, much smaller. And I'm giving you this data, so when you actually read newspapers and try to make context, please remember that it's not that all Indian officers have to go to home now, and we're hoping to resolve the situation sooner than later. Moving on, BIMCO Cybersecurity version 4. This has been discussed and feedback sent to BIMCO. This has been now published and is available. And maybe just to make you aware, Dirk Free, our lovely Dirk Free, is actually working on both sides here, and was very good conduit for InterManager ideas into BIMCO. And I'm using this as an example because I think this is what showing how collaboration and cooperation can work, that a lot of our guys are actually sitting in 2 or 3 committees and are always able to canvass views from InterManager. And I would like to support Mark in his plea to members: whenever you are working on something, please share, let's do that together. And you know, power is in numbers as well, so that would be very good. Moving on to vaccination, as you can see, I send this message with agenda usually 168 hours before our meeting, which is 1 week. And at that time, when I was sending it last Wednesday, I only knew that US is vaccinating international seafarers. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the only country which does that. And we've got signals from our members saying that they are using this. They do send their ships whenever they are in US, their ship's crew, to be vaccinated in centers in US, and no problem there. So we encourage everybody to start using this as much as possible. We are also seeing more countries really walking their talk and moving into key workers status for seafarers. You saw my jubilant message on Friday. There was a hard work with our Polish colleagues, and we did manage to persuade Polish government to actually ramp up Polish seafarers. There is a very interesting twist there. So they are not necessarily regarded as a uniformed personnel, but companies managing crew from Poland are recognized as an employer. And as an employer, you can apply to the government to vaccinate your people. I am sharing this attitude, this path with everybody here. So maybe in your local jurisdictions, you can try the same. It works in Poland, so maybe it will work somewhere else. That means that as far as I'm concerned, the biggest seafaring nation in Europe, Poland, 35,000 seafarers, is now on a path to vaccinate these guys. Second biggest nation, UK, nowhere to be seen, although we are working really hard on that. And I have to admit that InterManager has modest contacts, but ICS has a huge one, and we are supporting them together with Intertanko, Intercargo, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, so far we are failing. We are not able to get British government to recognize seafarers as a key workers with vaccination progress. Romania is doing very well, always was, and we are getting signals from Belgium. Not that we've got many Belgian seafarers, but anyhow, that's a very good news. And also Denmark is now considering. So we will see. I keep an ear down to earth. Okay, I've got Alex interjecting here. Alex, go ahead. Here I see your hands.
Yeah, Kuba, I just got an email sent out this morning. The Netherlands, Dutch government just recognized as of today as well. So our friend Karen Orsel sent that around.
Perfect. I haven't seen it yet, but thank you very much. That's good. As soon as I get this, I will update my tally, because this is good. This is really, really good. It shows that we are waking up now, and it's middle of May, so high time, I would say. And Mark already alluded to that. We had unprecedented press cover in last month. There is no doubt this is very hard work of Mark, going around being provocative at times, but definitely achieving. Because to give you perspective, we are usually mentioned 30, 40 times a month. This time it was 230. Can you imagine that? And it was all very positive coverage. So I am impressed. I have to admit, this was completely, if we were firing on 2 or 3 before, then we are probably now American Guzzler. We are on all 8, going ahead with that. Is this translating to anything? Maybe too early to say, but no doubt we are getting messages from left, right, and center regarding different initiatives, and that's good because now we've got a choice, which I'm presenting to members, and it's your choice whether we will go with anybody or somebody or not. So that's all from me. I'm just, okay, somebody is joining. Any questions, anything to Mark and myself, or you would like to discuss an issue? Is there something I have missed? No yellow hands.
Can I just say, Kuba, I don't think we should judge ourselves either on whether we're successful in sorting out this vaccine issue. I think we should judge ourselves on whether we've tried the hardest we possibly can. So, this is not a question of success or failure. We just need to shout and rattle the cage or shake the trees or whatever we need to do as much as possible, so that we, at the end of the day, can say we did everything we possibly could. And that's hopefully we're all talking from or singing from the same song sheet in that respect. If you think we should take a rather more a quiet approach and follow suit or the other associations, then please let us know now or privately. But I do think having a maverick on the side serves the other associations well, because they can go through IMO, WHO, etc., and play ball. They also can have us not playing ball and making a rather more unconventional noise. We're trying to get on television. We're trying to get in the national newspapers as well. We're in the Financial Times last week, albeit very briefly. But each and every one of us has a part to play here, please. So if Huber, if you think the Polish government would be more willing to cooperate and facilitate and act as a conduit, then maybe that might be a solution. We're going to look at the Cyprus government now too, because I said, crazy. We have Johnson & Johnson, which we've negotiated with to get $22 a shot, which is substantially cheaper than would otherwise be the case. $22 a shot, we just can't buy. We just have no one saying we'll do it for you, which seems crazy to me. Edgar's got a question.
Edgar has a question indeed. Edgar, please.
Hi, Kuba. Hi, Mark. No, it's just an update that the Dutch government has agreed to vaccinate Filipino seafarers on board Dutch-owned and managed ships. So that's a good development. I'll forward you the article.
Wow, that's double whammy, really, because it's not only Dutch nationals like in Poland, Romania, but it's also reaching out. That would be superb. That is a superb news. Very good. Thank you, Edgar. You still have a hand up. Do you want to come back on yourself or? No? Okay, that could be a technical issue with the hand. Very good. Okay, I will use my time and appeal to all of you. We need your input for these meetings. If there is any issue you would like to discuss, please send me a message. I need them in next 7 days when preparing the meeting, so we know what we are talking about and we prepare ourselves for the meeting as well. Now, without further ado, we've got our member today and guest speaker from EcoChlor, Soren Schid. Soren, all over to you now. I lost you, I can't see you, but maybe if you show your face, then you can take over the screen as well.
Yep, thank you. Maybe I just turn off and turn back on my camera and I become more visible.
Yes, you are now, indeed.
Okay. Yeah, I will just share my screen. So I hope now you can see the first slide. Yeah, I'm happy to be here in this round representing EcoChlor as an associate member, and yeah, to be able to give you a short introduction to our filterless ballast water treatment system, which may be interesting to you, as yeah, a lot of ship management companies are also involved in selecting, preparing the decision for a ballast water treatment system to be installed on your managed vessels. So, yeah, I would like to thank you for this opportunity, and it's obviously that a lot of ship owners require high ballast water flow rates, even in challenging waters with low salinity and high sediment loads and low temperatures. But there were justified concerns regarding the efficiency of existing treatment technologies if they are used without a filter. And EcoChlor's response is Eco 1, which is our revolutionary filterless ballast water management system based on our powerful chlorine dioxide treatment technology, which still enjoys our renowned reliability and best-in-class global service. We have tested Eco 1 extensively and robustly to ensure the technology meets all the most stringent US Coast Guard and IMO standards. And you can expect the same high performance and efficiency from Eco 1 as with our traditional EcoChlor product. Of course, it guarantees the same tank coating protection and does not use TRO or hydrogen sensors, and there's no neutralization or secondary treatment required at discharge. So how is it that EcoChlor is able to develop a filterless solution where there are real doubts that other technologies available in the ballast water market can be as effective in that configuration? And the answer lies in the science. Simply put, chlorine dioxide is not affected by suspended solids or turbidity. That means our disinfection is effective regardless of changes in water quality. If you take UV systems, for example, the kill process relies on the ability of the UV light to penetrate the water. And in waters with heavy sediment load and turbidity, this is, of course, incredibly difficult. And this is why no credible UV-based manufacturer has produced a filterless system. In case of sodium hypochlorite or electrolysis-based technologies, the science is slightly different. Theoretically, this technology could be used in a filterless configuration. However, there are real issues with that. Sodium hypochlorite, which is the product of electrochlorination, reacts with any organic matter, living or dead. So in waters with a high level of suspended solids, the sodium hypochlorite is reacting with anything that is coming through the system. This could mean that following these reactions, there may not be enough hypochlorite left over to kill the residual living organisms. And to counter this, manufacturers of these systems often significantly increase the levels of hypochlorite production, which brings a number of problems. First of all, the power requirements to produce these levels of hypochlorite are considerable and may not even be available on the vessel. And secondly, very high levels of hypochlorite are potentially hazardous to tank coatings and therefore vessel structure. And this is in contrast to chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide reacts nearly completely with living organisms and therefore is unaffected by high levels of suspended solids and organic matter. This means you will always have enough chlorine dioxide left over to ensure a full kill process, without having to significantly ramp up the level of chlorine dioxide introduced. By maintaining a very low dose, we can also guarantee to protect tank coatings and vessel structure. And this is commonly known science. And in fact, highly reputable manufacturers of electrochlorination systems actually agree with this. Take this comment from Dr. Efi Tsolaki, for example, who is the Chief Scientific Officer of ERMA First. And just a few weeks ago at the Green 4C Forum, she reported about their own attempts regarding a filterless system. And they had to stop the development because it was unable to perform in real-life water conditions. And the full presentation is available on YouTube, so if anyone is interested, I can share the link after the presentation. So EcoChlor now has 3 distinct products to offer ship owners for their ballast water requirements. We have the original EcoChlor ballast water system with the filtration and chlorine dioxide injection. We have the new Echo 1 ballast water management system, which is a single-step filterless chlorine dioxide only treatment. This product is available for use in marine and brackish waters. And for the treatment of fresh water, EcoChlor recommends the continued use of a filter, so Echo 1 Hybrid offers the benefits of both filterless operation in marine and brackish water and continued treatment of fresh water with a filter. At the heart of each EcoChlor system is the disinfectant generator. A small slipstream of 0.25% of the ballast water is fed to the generator via this gray U-shaped pipe that you can see in the picture. Two dosing pumps, blue at the bottom of the photo, feed the precursor chemicals to the mixing chamber, which is blue and at the center of the photo, to produce chlorine dioxide and mix it into the slipstream. This disinfectant solution is then injected back again into the main ballast flow. And the process is monitored by flow meters for ballast water and chemicals, as well as a pressure sensor. So it's simple technology, easy maintenance, and we all know simple is reliable. And there are no delicate components like TRO or hydrogen sensors, which were initially never designed for the harsh marine environment and require frequent calibrations. The power consumption of the system is tiny, and there's no need to upgrade your vessel's electrical system. And there are no electrodes or UV lamps which burn out or need replacement. For Echo 1, this is a typical layout that we are expecting. We have two chemical tanks on top of the picture, and we have the treatment unit, which is this wardrobe-sized cabinet next to the tanks. A motive water pump feeds the slipstream to the generator and back to the main ballast line via an injection point. There's no filtration unit, and the pipework configuration is very simple. And we spoke to engineering companies, and they estimate that there would be up to a 40% reduction in piping requirements when installing a filterless system, and a similar reduction in requirements for cabling and electrical connections. The original EcoChlor system has a target dosage of 4.25 ppm. For Echo 1, the target dosage is 4.6 ppm. And as you can see, this is still a very low target dosage. In fact, it is still within our original type approval, which allows us to use dosages of up to 5.3 ppm. And that means, of course, that your tank coatings are protected. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a salinity limitation. Echo 1 is designed for marine and brackish waters only. This means we do not treat waters of 1 PSU or less with Echo 1. There are, however, no temperature limitations, and there are still no TRO sensors. The hold time is 24 hours and a confirmation that the chlorine dioxide level is at or below the maximum allowable discharge standard. And before I leave this slide, it is worth noting the power requirements for Echo 1. The treatment capacity is anywhere between 500 and over 16,000 cubic meters per hour on a single system, but the power consumption is still between 4 and 6 kilowatts in total. And yes, it's not a typo, it's really 4 to 6 kilowatts. And we believe it's the lowest power consumption ballast water system available today. So the benefits of Echo 1 are very clear. The owner or ship manager has less equipment to purchase and less equipment to install, and that means lower cost. Less equipment means easier operation for the crew and, of course, lower maintenance needs. I've just illustrated the lower power requirements, and of course, we have reduced space. In any event, EcoChlor ballast water systems are inherently simple in their design, and as we all know in the marine environment, simple means reliable. By removing the filters, we have made our system even more simple, and an already commendably reliable system became more reliable. This is a typical layout for a hybrid system. And as you can see, the tanks are still there, the treatment cabinet is still there, but we have brought back in the filter with the ability to use that on fresh water. And some owners and managers have already expressed the desire to have a different capacity flow rate on freshwater compared to marine and brackish. And this would allow them to fit a smaller capacity filter for freshwater operation only, and thereby still enjoy the benefits of a smaller footprint in the filtration plant. And as might be expected with hybrid, there are two different modes of operation. 4.6 ppm dosing when operating without filter in marine and brackish water, and 4.25 ppm when operating with a filter in fresh water. And there are still no temperature limitations, no TRO sensors, and hold time is still 24 hours plus confirmation of chlorine dioxide residual. Power consumption is slightly higher because we are driving the filter flushing pump accordingly. And it is worth noting that in all modes we are operating comfortably below 5 ppm, a fraction of what some competitors may be operating with their sodium hypochlorite-based systems. And lower dosage means better protection of tank coatings. And this lower dosage is only available to EcoChlor because, as I said earlier, chlorine dioxide reacts only with the living organisms as opposed to any random organic matter, which is what hypochlorite reacts to. Of course, the clear benefit of this hybrid system for those that must have freshwater operations is the flexibility to be able to enjoy the benefits of filterless operation in marine and brackish situations and still be able to treat freshwater as required. And it is also worth noting that all vessels already installed with an EcoChlor system will be able to upgrade at least to hybrid and possibly even Eco 1 standard at minimal cost. So to summarize, Eco 1 means less equipment, lower installation cost, but the same EcoChlor reliability and our legendary customer support. Easier operation, lower maintenance requirements, and very low power demand. And Eco 1 Hybrid, all of the above, but with a two-step or single-step treatment choice available to the crew depending on ballast water conditions. When will Eco 1 and Eco 1 Hybrid be available? And the answer is very soon. All of the land-based tests for IMO and US Coast Guard have been successfully completed. That included full biological efficiency testing in marine and brackish water and additional hold time testing as well as low salinity tests. The ship-based testing is almost complete and is being carried out on 2 Maran tanker vessels, a VLCC and an Aframax. 5 tests are required for US Coast Guard and 3 for IMO. IMO testing has been completed and the remaining 2 tests for US Coast Guard are expected to be completed during this May. So how long will it be before the new technology has both US Coast Guard and IMO approval? And well, we have confirmed with the regulatory authorities that both Eco 1 and Eco Hybrid will be classed as variations or amendments to our existing type approval certifications. This means that the approval process is far more rapid and we can anticipate the IMO certificate to be available in Q3 and the US Coast Guard certificate before the end of Q4 2021, followed by the relevant flag and class authorities. EcoChlor is rightly famous for the quality of its after-sales service, and we have service engineers positioned in 3 major time zones to ensure rapid response. We're not having to fly people out from the US, for example, to Asia. With EcoChlor, we have assigned delegates for each vessel, ensuring that you get continuity of service and that your issues and operations are being managed effectively. Chemical resupply takes place twice a year and is entirely managed by EcoChlor. When on board, the EcoChlor team always performs a technical check of the system and provides a top-up training to the crew. A properly trained crew, which is familiar with the vessel's reliable ballast water management system, is undoubtedly the most important factor to provide you ease of mind, especially in case of port state control inspections. So taking all these points together, the EcoChlor advantages are clear. It's a proven technology. EcoChlor has been in the ballast water market for more than 20 years. The technology is effective in all water conditions and is not affected by temperature, turbidity, or salinity. It's an inherently reliable system because it is designed as a simple system. It's easy to operate. There are few components. There are no TRO sensors and no complex power supplies. Moreover, it's a single pass treatment and there's no neutralization required as discharge. And we offer fully supported installation, multiple training options. We take care of all your chemical supply and logistics wherever it might be. And we have an assigned vessel delegate system that ensures your regular shipboard visits to keep your system running. EcoClore's first ballast water management system installation was in 2004, and we've been installing regularly since that date. And we have now hundreds of systems in operation around the world, operating under a number of different regulatory approvals. Our mantra has always been to maintain the latest, highest standards as available in the market, and this continues with Eco 1 and Eco 1 Hybrid. And they say you can judge the quality of a company and its products by the type of customers that use it. And here we are proud to list some of the wonderful customers that we have currently worked with ballast water installations all around the world. So this marks the end of my presentation, and I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Soren, thank you very much. Oh, there is some feedback on the Soren, you mentioned in your presentation training for the seafarers, so that I mind immediately. Is it done on board only, or are you also providing computer-based training, simulators, or anything? Please explore this.
Well, we offer a lot of options. We do training of the crew during commissioning already. We offer training at the ship owners or ship managers location, basically of any location of your choice, or at our headquarters in the US. We have a simulator, which is, or several simulators, which is actually a small suitcase with all the control equipment of a system, which allows you to simulate different operating conditions. And most importantly, we do this refill of the chemicals twice per year. And this opportunity is always used to provide top-up training to the crew. So they can ask any questions to experienced EcoClore staff. And yeah, we'll learn about all the tricks and details of properly operating an EcoClore system.
Would you know how many man-hours it requires yearly for maintenance?
Maintenance is very small. I mean, you saw the simplicity of the system. I would have to check in detail how many man-hours we anticipate. Very few compared to significantly more complex other systems.
Okay, these were two questions which I had in my mind. I'm opening the floor. I don't see any hands up. I saw actually few of our members being your customers, so that goes a long way as well. They must have done the full due diligence process by checking and double checking and making sure then you are the provider of choice. So well done, thank you for that. No questions. Now, will you be happy to provide this presentation so we can send it to our members? Obviously, it is being recorded, so anybody who views this on a YouTube channel will be able to listen to you and also see the presentation. But should I be asked by members, you are nodding your heads. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Okay, Soren, thank you. No further questions. Okay,
thank you for the opportunity, and yeah, thank you for being able to participate in your interesting meetings.
Thank you, Soren. Okay, we seem to be going very well today. It's only 38 minutes into our meeting. Now, opening the floor for any other issues, any other questions or comments. And Soren, could you stop sharing screen so I can start seeing people as well, please? Thank you.
Kuba, can I throw an issue to the floor, and let's please have a discussion about it. We in our discussions with Alpha Marine, we're talking about what shape our standard or our guidelines or our code of practice will take. And Alpha Marine, who have also written the guidelines or code of practice for intercargo, asked us very sensibly whether we wanted guidelines or principles with KPIs and ratings attached. And our initial response was, look, for the moment, we just want guidelines which members will need to show they comply with or that they aspire to comply with. And thereafter, once we become familiar with that, then we can start bringing in KPIs and ratings. Personally speaking, from Colombia's perspective, and I'm sure the view is shared by our other members, to begin with, until we're comfortable with this, we don't want necessarily ratings, although we perhaps all believe we do things the best we possibly can. I think this is a gradual process and a journey rather than trying to achieve rated guidelines right from day one. But is that view shared by everybody? Are we more on the softer line to begin with than the harder line, or are people willing or wanting to go to ratings, gold, silver, bronze, or however else we might rate them right from day one? Perhaps anybody who's got views on that would be interesting. Nobody has views. we have a carte blanche to do what we want. No, come on, people must have views. Is it softer, medium, or hard approach? That I think that's important so that we get it right. The last thing we want to be doing is to be sort of pussyfooting around the issue, or indeed taking too hard a line.
David Furnival, go ahead, David.
Well, when it comes to KPIs, we obviously have the former InterManager and now BIMCO KPI set available, which over many years was developed for the purpose of judging the performance of ship managers. It would not make too much sense to me to reinvent that particular wheel. Assigning a target for that performance, of course, and giving it a subsequent rating makes a logical sense. I know from our perspective at least, the BIMCO KPIs have been difficult to comply with in terms of reporting because of the lack of interface between our systems and the BIMCO systems. Hopefully that can be resolved, and there's a seamless transfer of information between the two to populate the KPI algorithms. But for me, that's always been an undervalued contribution that InterManager's made to the ship management and shipping industry. Still exists. It could be revitalized, in my view.
Thank you, David. Björn, and then Raul.
I think based on previous discussion on this, I would think the general view would be more of a soft approach, at least in the beginning. This is my sense from previous discussions. The other thing, if you want to do a more hard sort of KPI approach, are we then up against having to set up another audit regime or not? I'm not sure if that's something we really need or want. So I think there are some other issues to think about then, as far as, because the tougher and stricter the standards are, the more I guess we'd have to try to follow up and make sure it's actually being followed. Otherwise, it makes no sense, right? It becomes like a 50-kilometer speed limit that nobody follows. So okay. That's just my input. And also the KPI, I mean, back to that, I mean, I think that was a lot of time and money was spent on developing that, but somehow it didn't take off and wasn't followed. And I suppose if we're going to go back and revisit that, we need to figure out why it didn't work last time around.
Good one, Björn. Thank you. Raul, and then Dirk.
Thanks, Kuba. Obviously, as an associate member, I feel slightly squeamish about having an opinion on this, but we did discuss it before when we got together many moons ago in Cyprus, and I'll just make the observation that I'm involved in quite a few industry groups, and the ones that really seem to me to work the best are ones that have a clear idea of a standard. And so I would just support the idea that I think Bjorn's point, a one size fits all is going to be difficult because different people are on different parts of the journey, different size organizations and so on. So it needs to be inclusive in that regard. But I do think that having some sort of minimum standards for sure that separates members of InterManager from those that would aspire to be that, so that people can clearly see the distinction. So I would recommend that there is a standard, and that it is an inclusive standard that can accommodate the different size and scale of operations.
Thank you, Raoul. Dirk?
Going back many moons ago, there was a thing called ISMA, which was the first system ever developed between ship managers to create quality management. But one of the shortcomings we faced was the fact that we need to be audited, we need to be certified, and what have you. And that hindered, in my view, the greater expansion of that system. So if you ask me, I would go for a soft start and soft approach. You can then at any time in the future still decide if it is necessary or if you wanted to make it more stringent. So my vote would be for a soft start.
Okay, thank you. Mark, there is no other hands up, so over to
I think
you.
that's I think that's very helpful. I think we have to be very clear what we're after here, and we're after I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the desire to raise the standard of ship management across the board, both for ourselves and for our clients. And some of the issues we all have with the outside rating agencies is that sometimes they can be they can exert harsh penalties for reasons that don't naturally all sorts of factors that are sometimes not taken into account. If we look at RightShip or other rating agencies, sometimes we tear our hair out because they will actually you don't appreciate the situation that we're in. Therefore, I think the soft approach that Dirk's advocating is the right one, and then we can take it in steps thereafter, and perhaps introduce gold, silver, bronze to members going down the line, perhaps in a year, 2 years time, when we become familiar. I think there will have to be an auditing function because we will want to be able to ascertain that members, if they haven't achieved the guidelines or standard that we've set, are at least aspiring to do that. And that should be enough, because different members have different resources to deploy to this whole process. But I think that's very helpful. If people do have strong views on this, then do let us know, because I think in preparing this initial paper for consideration, then the question is, for whose consideration, but we can deal with that on another time. Having your input now is going to be very, very helpful. There are some of us, and particularly the new joiners, who will quite rightly say, well, a standard's not worth having unless it has teeth and unless there are consequences. But I think this should be, at this stage, a carrot approach rather than a stick approach, until we all get familiar with these standards, get comfortable with them, know what we've got to try to achieve, show that we're trying to achieve that, and then perhaps, question mark, if we're all in agreement, be judged on what we're doing or what we've done. I think that way it's inclusive, it's fair, and takes us all on this journey, rather than introducing harsh ratings right from day one, which half of us may not be, not through any lack of desire, but lack of ability, may not be able to satisfy. I think that's a fair way of doing it to the whole membership, myself.
And Mark, if I may say, I believe the discussion and maybe the journey towards will be equally important. So once we've got a discussion going and we can see, then this will be probably very good for many non-members as well, to see what the ship management is thinking. Are they in line with our thinking or not? And that could be a very, very good and thought-provoking process on its own. So I would vote what probably we hear the majority here saying, yes, softy, but visible, clearly visible. So there's no muddied waters, then nobody would know what's going on here, really. So
I think that's right, and this is not to show. I would hope, in the spirit of the membership, this is not to show that Columbia or BSM or V-Ships is better than its peers. It's to show the 80% or the 70% of the shipping sector that doesn't yet use managers that perhaps they should. And what we bring to the table as far as service standards and performance standards, and that's, I think, if we have that as our objective, not as a rating war or competition between ourselves. We can always compete on service, the different service that we provide, but what ship management brings to the 70% of shipping that doesn't yet use it, I think that's got to be our objective. So we carry the whole membership through this process to a better service. I think that then we're on the right track, personally. But if anyone thinks otherwise, please now or at a later time, let us know.
Björn has hand up.
It is one question. What is the scope here? I mean, are we talking crew standards, pollution, sustainability, diversity, or just hardcore sort of ship management focus? I mean, because that's also quite important.
Yes, I think we're looking very macro to begin with. So let's take 3 examples. Does the membership support general principles of sustainability, diversity, anti-corruption, bribery, etc., and what steps are being taken? I don't think we need to drill down into detail, because that detail has already been drilled down by, if we take anti-corruption and bribery, by MACN or whoever other. But we start with the macro and then build out, and we can add to this. I don't think any of us are going to have all of the answers right now. But this needs to be a journey, and this needs to be a movable feast that we add to, and we recognize, because otherwise we're not convincing anybody. We're not convincing our clients and our would-be clients that we're flexible and moving with the industry. So when new issues come up, we consider them, we debate them, we add them to our code or our general principles. I think that the danger is to drill too much into the detail, because then we're almost forced into a prescriptive, does BSM or does CSM comply, cross or tick? We don't want that. We really want aspirational, I think.
That makes sense.
And that probably answers, David's comments too about, some of the KPIs that are already in place. Maybe they're too prescriptive, and we want a more general approach, because I certainly, with my InterManager cap on, don't want to differentiate Columbia from BSM from any of the others. I want us all to go forward and attack the market. I think by raising the standard of all, we will achieve a lot more. Good. Kuba, anything else? And then we can.
No, nothing from me. I think we exhausted our agenda. Thank you very much. 53 minutes, so we can close the guillotine.
One more thing I do have. Sorry, Sean. I just see Sean's face there. We are looking at, and Kuba and I have discussed this quarterly for SMI magazine. Sean, we need to. I think develop that and perhaps circulate amongst members as soon as possible, what our plans are with that. This is maybe you can sort of, Sean, talk about what you what you have in mind, because I think it's a useful tool for us all.
Yeah, I think we talked about the idea of having a supplement to SMI, looking at InterManager. I think it's a good idea, and very happy to do that. As I said to Mark in previous conversations, putting a supplement like this together is going to elaborate about £17,000, because you've got to get it written, it's going to be printed, it's got to be dispatched, etc., etc. So we've got to look at ways that we can drive in new advertising revenue that's going to support it. But maybe there's lots of sort of areas there that we can talk about. Maybe one of the future 60-minute presentations, we can talk about options there for InterManager members. I can maybe get Karen Martin, my sales director, on board as well. We can look at options there. You know, we're not looking, we're just looking to cover costs on this. It's pointless doing something like this and then elaborate sort of spending, you know, £45,000 a year, you know, and a loss on it. So I think we just need to look at ways that we can do it. I think really it's, you know, there's a lot of, when you drill down into all of the issues that that InterManager is dealing with, the scope there for editorial and commentary and opinion and thought leadership and blue sky thinking, there's a lot of scope there for this. You know, that we can actually then start pushing into this quarterly supplement. We can profile members, we can you know, look at you know, interaction with other associations and what have you. We're talking about the quality side. You know, what do owners think about the quality? What are they after? You know, what would they be demanding from InterManager? You know, getting them to buy in is going to then encourage all of your members to actually buy into the initiative as well. All of that sort of stuff can be covered within the supplements. There's a lot of good editorial opportunities there that can be done. That can be sort of, you know, boosted by the general PR effort as well. So maybe one of the future 60 minutes, Kuba, we can have a little opportunity there. With the demise, as you saw 2 weeks ago, of Seatrade. So Seatrade, fair play. Lloyd's List has also shut down its Lloyd's List Intelligence magazine. SMI actually is really fast sort of becoming the only ship owner, ship manager magazine that's covering the industry at that sort of macro level and from A to Z right the way across the board. You still got your niche publications like your tanker operators and your dry cargo internationals, but the big heavyweights, you know, Informa shut down Seatrade. Informa made a loss of 1.3 million or 1.1 billion pound loss in the last year, and they've had to they're cutting savings of you know, 600 million right the way across the board. So SMI is there to grow. SMI is there to drive forward. And it's a good opportunity. We just need to sort of look at ways that we can help pay for that extra cost of something like that as well. But we'll continue to write about InterManager as we do within the pages. We've got a big piece on vaccination, the next issue that will be we'll be doing an interview with Kuba and with you guys and stuff like that. So one of the reporters there, so there's a lot of opportunity there moving forward. Positive opportunity for InterManager.
I think SMI, given its target audience, is perhaps more appropriate as a publication for us as an association to advertise in and get coverage in than some of the other publications there, which are looking across the whole commodities, wider logistics framework. So actually, I think it's you know, certainly if the cost is 15,000 or whatever, seems to go up, Sean, every time we talk. And I'm joking. Then that's something that must be quite easy to achieve, particularly as we grow our associate membership as well, who will want to be advertising in eyes. InterManager, in the sense that if we have resources to deploy, it would be lovely, wouldn't it, if InterManager is able to contribute in future crises to the plight of Indian seafarers or whatever, as InterManager, not necessarily as the individual members, because it has an income flow, and there's so many potential income flows legitimately that we can look at to give ourselves the resources to look at projects, to make contributions, etc., and play a bigger part. So I think that's something that we should look at, and certainly something we'd be interested in.
Yeah, just to sort of just add into that, Mark. I mean, you know, a number of the managers and the members, the ship management members of InterManager already advertise with SMI. So we don't want to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. There you go. We'll put that ad over into the supplement, because then SMI is ending up paying the 15 grand. So we've got to look at ways of new revenue coming into it to pay for that supplement. It's just a business. It's just a business, you know, initiative that we just have to all get our heads around and make sure that we can make this a success.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that obviously I'll take it with Sean. Thank you, Mark. We will discuss that and then report back. I like the idea of 60 minutes, definitely. Probably not the next one, but maybe in 4 weeks' time. Now, 59, Mark, your last word.
No, I've said enough. Thank you very much, everybody.
Very good
Stay
then.
safe.
Thank you very much. Guillotine
Thank you.
comes down. 59. Bye-bye. See you in 2 weeks' time.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And Neil, I can talk to you.
Thank you.
Oh, Neil was very quick.